Hello, Dr. Carole Parker Walsh. How are you?
I'm good, Dr. Melissa Bird. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy to see you today.
It's good to see you too.
So for the people in my audience who do not know about your amazingness, will you tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. I am a career strategist and executive coach for smart, intelligent, high achieving women who have, I often say, climbed the ladder of success and realize they climbed the wrong one. And now they're ready to take control of their life and to step into a new iteration of what they are meant to do in the world that's aligned with who they are and their purpose. I like to call them my midlife career rebels. And, I help them to design the path to step into what it is that they're meant to do in the world.
I love that so much. And that's really where we aligned, was in the word rebel. Because, as I know, I'm just bringing up all the natural born rebels to help them sort of explode into the world.
Yes.
So how did you get into your work? How did you make this move to get into helping these women?
Yeah, it was a few key life experiences, and I'm sure people can relate to, where you have these kind of insights or things don't sit well with you. So the first started when I got a divorce and I became a single mother and trying to figure out what that meant. And then when I went back for my doctorate, and in my doctorate work, I focused on women, gender identity, and racial identity, and the intersectionality of those two things, and how we come to understand ourselves and how that influences what we choose to do in the world, and gives us the confidence and strength to do that. And then the catalyst, honestly, for me was when I was in a near fatal car accident and a drunk driver hit me and I almost died. And I remember a voice as clear as if it was sitting in the car next to me say, "Turn now," when I was in the car. And at the time, I'm on a 2-lane road, and one option is me going into a ravine. The other option is the side of a hill and oncoming traffic. So the options weren't appealing either way, but I listened, turned into oncoming traffic. The car hit me, broke this side of my body. I was, 3 surgeries, wheelchair for 6 months, physical therapy for almost a year. It was traumatic. But the thing that what really crystallized for me after that time was that I think when I look back, I've heard that voice more than just that time saying, "Turn now, make a move, do something different. You're not happy in what you're doing. You don't like this. Why are you stuck?" But I wasn't listening to it. And
Yeah.
I think what's true is that in life, when we hear it, we ignore it because we think, well, this option and that option, they don't look that great, so I'm just going to stay the course. And I think it's because in our minds, we think option A should be, oh, and option B is horrible, right? The option should be so clear which one you choose, but that's not the way life works. But
No.
but if I stayed on that course, I wouldn't be alive. And so in my mind, I'm like, if I stay doing what I'm doing on this track, I'm going to die spiritually, emotionally. I'm not going to be fulfilled. I'm not, so for me, it became an analogy. And that's when I kind of redirected and said, you know what? I'm going to listen to that voice, not just, it saved my life here. I'm sure it'll save my life generally. And so that's what led me to this. And so once I freed myself, I've been on a mission to help other women do the same.
So good. So good. I especially love that that we sit here and we're like, well, I've got this option and this option. And somehow they're supposed to be like these amazing glitter bombs where you're
Right.
and really you're looking at them going, ooh,
Right.
this. I mean, it both looks kind of good.
Right.
Either way, I don't know what's going to happen. And so we stay stuck in that place and don't listen to our instinct and don't listen to that voice of the divine that says, no,
Yes.
please take this risk, go
Yes.
this direction, right?
Yes. And here's what I love about it. Yeah, I took the risk. I got hit. I had some recovery, but that's life. You're going to go through some bumps. There is no perfect path, but the path that you need to be on, you'll learn through that. Someone said something the other day, which I posted on Instagram today, which I loved. And it said either you're winning or you're in this life, you're either winning or learning. And if you're learning, you're still winning.
Yes.
And that was exactly to me what it was like, yeah, I went through that, but boy, where I came out on the other end of the growth from that is like light years different and better than if I had stayed on that course.
Yeah. So good. So, why is now? And I want everybody who watches this, whether it's right now, like in the next 24 hours, or 10 years from now on my YouTube channel, I don't care when you find this video. Why is now a good time to raise some hell?
Yeah, because we only have one bite at this apple, and why waste another day? I mean, that's just flat out truth. Like, why spend another day, week, month, year in a life you don't love? Like, we only have one bite at this apple. So why waste the time? You don't want to sit up 10 years from now and say, oh, I wish I did this 10 years ago, or I wish I did this last year. Oh, if I only started, right? We do that to ourselves because we think there's some perfect time.
Yeah.
There is no perfect time. Every day is the perfect time.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of choice and decision. And so particularly if, like I said, you've been hearing and listening to a voice, it's been stewing in your stomach, you've been feeling uncomfortable, you've wanted to do something, but you've come up with a laundry list of reasons why it won't work, then now is the time.
Yeah.
Now is the time. It's just really that simple.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I love about that is people often don't understand that we've been trained, especially as women, and expand on this with your own clients and the people you work with, that we're supposed to wait for everything to line itself up in the row before we take action.
Yes.
Because somehow the patriarchy has convinced us that there's going to be a perfect time that will come for you to live out that precious little dream.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's so true. You know, and it's funny because, you know, when you say that, I even think about, it's funny where that got reinforced was from my mother. And I think what is just what you said, that what the patriarchy has done is indoctrinated into our minds. So it's internalized into our belief system. And if we don't catch that, we will pass it on to our children, to our daughters, to our colleagues, to our girlfriends, and have them follow along in the same kind of indoctrination that we've fallen into. And it's why I love the movie The Matrix, because for me, it's like unplugging from the Matrix and really seeing the truth of what is available for your life. But you're right, we got stuck into this idea that we have to wait until our kids are grown, or we have to wait till we have kids, or we have to wait till we get married, or we have to wait till we get a divorce, or we have to wait until we finish school, or we have to wait until we get this particular promotion or reach this level in our job, or we have to wait till this salary thing that we hit, that all these ducks have to be lined up in a row before we can actually make a move and a change. But actually what you're doing, which is why I started off saying, I work with women who climbed that ladder, they followed that plan, they followed that script. And then when they got up there, they were like, is this what I've been going after all this time? And realized I have done nothing but in their thinking, they think they've wasted time, but it's actually just been preparation for them to make the shift and make the pivot into something that they're meant to.
All your experiences are building up to that moment for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you work with your clients, or what do you wish other people knew about disruption? I think one of the things that you do so well in your work is help guide women through the disruption of sort of blowing up and disrupting their life.
Yes.
So what do you wish people knew about disruption?
You know, I wish that they knew how freeing it was. I wish they realized that by having the opportunity to break free from the, you know, I can't think of a better word than the shackles of societal pressure and patriarchal kind of thinking, that there is like a lightness and a freedom on the other side of it. It's scary as hell. Don't get me wrong. It is scary as hell because to when everyone is it's like being a salmon going upstream as opposed to going with everybody else who's going a different direction.
Yeah.
And so you have to find a tribe and an area and places of support and people who will cheer you on and encourage you in that process, because you can't go it alone. And I think that's the biggest thing about it, is that once you make the decision, get the right support to like be that wind beneath your wings to do it. But the thing that I just want to share is that there is a freedom and a lightness to it. I was looking at pictures the other day, and I almost wish I could find a picture, but there's a picture of me when before I had broke free. And I think I was in my late 30s or 40s, early 40s. And I looked horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. There's
Yeah.
a picture of me in my 50s, about 12 years later. I'm older, but I look younger
Yeah.
and happier in that picture than I do when it was a picture of me taken at my job, than that picture. I mean, I looked lost and miserable. And at the time I didn't know it, but I can't tell you what happens with this lightness and this freedom that comes when you just follow your path and disrupt the status quo and make your own mark and follow your own dreams.
I really love that so much, because I think for so many people, I was just on the phone with a client the other day, and she was talking about how she's got this big dream to create musical centers for kiddos, and like this gorgeous, beautiful vision for helping kiddos learn music. And it's so incredibly beautiful, and just helping kids have a voice through song and music and play. And I'm like, yes,
Wow.
yes. And she's like, but my dad and my partner really think I need a 401k. And I'm like, no,
Right.
like, no.
Right.
Oh, it's a dream.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
have to have your own damn 401k. Like, it won't matter, right? Like,
Yes.
and for so many people right now, so as you're listening to this, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. So if you hit on this 10 years from now, just know it's 2020 and we're in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yes.
But for so many people, they're like, especially women, we're like, oh, now's the time. And then they're like, is now the time? Right? So I love what you said about there being freedom on the other side, because even if you are hesitant, again, that voice comes back, turn this way or this way, now's the time.
Yes.
So how do you use intuition in your work, and how do you help women use their intuition to listen to that voice?
Yeah, I use women underestimate the value and the benefit and the intuition that we've been blessed with and have, right? And because we've been told because it's done things like, your client about wanting to start the Center for Children, or my clients who want to start these global networks to bring medical equipment over to Africa, or start nonprofits to get kids into security or technology, or to start these like foundations and centers of support. They have these like visions and dreams of things that they can make an impact on, but they intuitively know that's the place to go. But just like you said, we've been talked out of it because it's like, well, that's not practical. Is that realistic? Can you really handle that? So what we do is that we let other people's limitations become our own. And that is the thing that will crush intuition all the time. So for me, once I embrace that, it's the hardest thing. Once you do it the first time, you realize, I do know what I'm talking about. I do have some wisdom here. There is some power in what I'm thinking, and this is feeling right, and this is the path that I should go on. So for me, I use it in everything. I use it in how I decide which clients to work with. I use it in what next steps I want to do in my business. I use my intuition for, people that I meet and people I want to have in my tribe and connect with, that I'm feeling like there's a really good vibe and connection there, because I don't want to waste my time with people who are going to kill my dreams and limit my vision and wisdom and intuition to move in the direction I think is right for me. And I help my clients do the same, to really tune back into that voice that they have shut down and ignored because people have told them that what they were thinking is wrong, or their intuition was off, or that what they really should be focusing on is something other than what in their heart they know should be the direction they should go. Now, I'm definitely, don't get me wrong, I'm all about practicality and the fact that we have to pay the bills and live. Like, I'm not like off in la la land with that. But that doesn't mean that while you are doing the practical things, you can't be taking steps in the direction of what it is that you need to do. There's not an either or. I think what we need to learn to do is dance along the line of and, right? To embrace and as a mantra, that I can do this and that. And we are very well equipped as women to be able to do that. But we have to make sure we're doing the ands of the things that we want to do and believe that we should do, and that our intuition is guiding us to say, this is where we should go.
Yeah, I think that is so, so critical. It's really interesting to listen to you reflect that back to me, because we have this huge $6 million project my husband and I are doing to start a retreat center and an aquaculture farm. And that whole vision was given to me while I was on my own retreat in Scotland and laying in the forest. And I was like, napping in the forest, and I wake up with this whole vision on me, and I'm like, an aquaculture farm, like what the hell? Like, the hell did this guy? And I was like, no, this was back in 2017, and I was like, oh hell no. My husband's a marine biologist, so I was like, somehow I just had this vision to start a retreat center and an aquaculture farm, and it's grown, right?
Yeah.
But there are so many times where people are like, your vision's too big. You can't do, you need to split it up. It's two different businesses. Most of the time it's white men telling me this, by the way.
Right.
You know, nobody's going to invest in this. You don't know what you're doing. You need to split this stuff apart, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, because the vision is the connection between the land and the fish and our bodies and our humans.
Wow.
And there's connection with growing healthy, happy fish and giving people space to come back to themselves and to the land.
Wow.
And so if I do not let other people's limitations be your own is like so key for so many of us who have these beautiful, glorious moments where we're like, really? Like, this is bananas.
Yes.
Like,
I know. You'll wake up and be like, just like you're like, what? No.
what is one big vision that you've had that you had people try and place limitations on that you were like, no, that's turned out fabulous?
Well, the most current and recent one is starting my own business, is leaving a position that was highly respectable. I was an associate dean, a director of a graduate program, on track to move into a provost position, was making significant income, was the breadwinner for my family. I've since got remarried, but you know, my income and the education level, you know, was huge. So to walk away from that, well, that's the second time. The first time was when I stopped being a lawyer, because I'm a lawyer as well. And I can't tell you, and I haven't practiced law since 2000, and it's 2020. Because I practiced for 10 years. And people still to this day, when they find out I'm a lawyer, are like, why don't you do that? I don't understand. Like, why would you not do that? Yeah. So if I allowed other people's idea of what my success should be and what it should look like and let them define it, I would still be trapped and miserable, making money, having the respect and reputation, but absolutely miserable. And I would have not had the ability to impact the lives of the women that I work with now. I mean, that haunts me more than anything else, of the people that I've been able to support and have a new lens in their life and to step into something. And really, in a lot of ways, I feel like, you know, I'm Morpheus breaking people out of the matrix. So, you know, I would not have been able to do that had I stayed plugged into that. And so for me, I had this vision of like doing my own thing and supporting women and to coming out of all of the academia and corporate space and, you know, just launching it. And everyone around me was like, you are insane. Why would you give that up? Why would you do that? That makes no sense. Yeah.
Listen, I can't tell you, my whole first year running my business, I kept sitting at the table and like right in front of this computer, and I'd be like, have you lost your mind? Like, aren't you supposed to be in a tenure track position at an R1 institution? Like, what are you doing, Dr. Bird? And I was like, no, I'm going to take all that stuff I learned and give it to the people. Like,
yes,
my academia. Like,
yes. Oh, yes.
I tell you, that whole first year, I kept thinking, am I supposed to go get a real job? Like, what am I doing? And I'm building the business and building the business. Wait a minute, aren't I supposed to get a real job? And then I was like, wait, I have a real job.
Yes.
I'm a business owner. I have a real job. Yeah,
isn't that something, how it works, how that works? And I have my faculty colleague that would call me and like, you know, there's a position open, you know, like I was desperate and like, I know you're starving over there, hoping that somebody will reach out to you. And I'm thinking, I was like, I'm doing actually pretty well. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So the last question I have for you today is, I just really want to know, because of everything in the world that is going on right now, what is making you smile right now?
You know, what's making me smile is, well, there's two things, if I can say two things.
Yeah.
The first one that makes me ecstatic right now is watching my daughter. My daughter is 21 and she came back from school. She was studying abroad in Scotland, actually, and had to come home from COVID. And where I know so many people were just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. The school wouldn't, you know, she couldn't go to a campus. She had to stay here. You know, she was finishing up her junior year. She had another year of college. And she ultimately has a goal that she wants to go to medical school. And what she decided to do, she came back, she finished the semester virtually, and then she checked in to see if she could graduate early by going to summer school. She took 20 credits over the summer, and like a boss, finished out, graduated, and is now doing her applications, took her MCAT. Like, she made a plan and
Yeah.
was like, this is not going to stop me.
Yeah.
So I am in awe and admire her for that, right? You know, she tells me it's my fault, but I'll take it. But I admire her for that.
Yeah.
The other thing that makes me happy is watching so many women wake up and say, you know what? This is my time.
Yep.
This is it for me. I'm ready. I'm tired of this. I don't even know what the next step is. I don't know what it looks like, but I know this isn't it. And I want to make a move. And during this time that, you know, like you said, we've been in this pandemic, I've been seeing more and more women say, you know what, enough is enough. Enough is enough. And I want to start taking back my powers, taking back my ownership. And seeing the surge of that rise makes me so happy. You know, people who are finding their voice, people who are stepping into their truth, people who are like, it's like they've woken up out of this kind of slumber and being on autopilot and like, no, I'm going to like take the reins and take control and move forward. That the energy of that in the midst of everything else that we're going through right now, but the energy of that makes me happy.
I got to tell you, I am with you. I just was literally saying that to my husband on our morning walk this morning, as I was like, you know what makes me excited? All these women who are like, enough is enough. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to take over the entrepreneur space. I think we are moving into systems where people are going to be like, whoa, what just happened? What?
Yes.
This is the upraising.
Yes.
That we've all been waiting for. And I know in the media, they're reporting like almost 1 million women are either have been fired or lost their jobs because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Everyone is, you know, a lot of the advocates and the folks in the academia sort of justice sphere are like, this is devastating. And yes, I think for many women, it is going to be devastating.
Yeah.
But I think for many more, it's going to be exactly what they've been waiting for.
I agree with you, because as the numbers I looked at, yeah, there's a lot of women, over, you know, definitely almost 1 million women who are leaving the workplace. But it's interesting is that a huge portion of them are not even thinking about going back. So they're thinking about entrepreneurial ventures. You know, what I love is that the landscape of work is changing. I mean, what we are in the midst of creating a new future.
Yeah.
And that is so exciting. Like, the old way of doing things, like, this is time for creativity and innovation and of really designing something new and fabulous to move forward. And that is just so amazing. That's so amazing.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. Well, if women want to work with you and people want to know more about you, how can they find you?
Well, the best place to land is on my website, and that's caroleparkerwalsh.com. And then you can learn about me. You can learn about, you know, what I do. Hear some of the testimonials to some of the women that I've worked with, and click on that button that says work with me. And we can have a 20-minute, 45-minute conversation around how I can best support you to like jump off the wrong ladder and find the right path for you to be able to go in your life.
That's really awesome. We'll make sure to put the link to your website in the comments and all the things.
Thanks.
And for those of you that are watching, don't forget to go to my website at naturalbornrebel.com and download your free book, Natural Born Rebel, that has some journal prompts about how to harness your inner rebellion to make a difference in your life and your community. Thank you so much, Carole, for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah.